students, how are you doing? It's great to see you again. It's been a while since I've made a video for you, and I've missed doing that. I hope you're all doing really well. I know the last video that Michael did with you was the very beginning of a new unit, and you learned some new vocabulary. So I thought we could start today by just going over some of that vocabulary, but I don't want to take too much time. On the screen, you're going to see some of these new words in a place where you can use these words in some sentences. So let me move my picture up and over to the side. All right, let's just really, in sort of a fast way, I'm going to just review these a little bit. These are all words that Michael just went over with you. So if you need to remember those again in a little more detail, you could listen to that video with Michael again. But cut down on, remember that meant to reduce or to make something less. So like you want to cut down on your expenses, or you want to cut down on your energy use, or you want to cut down on how much electricity you use. So that's one of those phrasal verbs, cut down on. Then another word that you had was energy efficient. So this is one with a hyphen in between. So it's really two words put together, energy efficient. Efficient means to use something in a really good way, in a wise or a smart way. So if something is energy efficient, like if you go to a store and buy some new appliances, like a new dishwasher or new washing machine, you might see a sticker on it and it might say energy efficient. That means, say it's a dishwasher, it will wash the dishes really clean, and it might not use as much water. It might not use as much electricity as the old ones. So this will be good for the environment, and it also is good for you because it will save you money. It won't use as much water, so your water bill won't be as high, and it won't use as much electricity. So it's a win-win. It's good for the earth. It's good for you for saving money. Global. So globe refers to like the entire earth and all of it. Okay. So in this case, they are probably using this as an adjective, global, to talk about global warming. So I know you talked about this problem of global warming with Michael. Protect, you know that word. Recycle, you probably have a recycle trash can. Mine is blue and has a little symbol on it with arrows. The symbol goes like a little rounded triangle, and the idea is to reuse something. You know, that prefix at the beginning, re, means again. And cycle means like around. So you're going to, when you put things like paper in that trash can or glass in there, or maybe aluminum cans, the idea is there will not be so much garbage in the normal like places, landfills where we put trash. And we can reuse the paper. They can remake new paper from the paper trash that you throw away. That's why recycling. It's the idea of using it again. Responsibility. I think you know this word too. You also know the word responsible. Like bosses want their workers to be responsible. In this way, we say each person has a responsibility to take good care of the environment, of the earth that God has given us to live here. So we say that you take responsibility for something. Okay, so right now would be a good time for you to look at these sentences and to look at these words. You can push pause, and that way you have as much time as you need to try to find the right place for each word. And then in a minute, I will come back. We can just push pause here. So hopefully you had enough time to read those and decide what word you think goes in each sentence. So now let's talk about it for a minute. The first one they did for you, using less energy will help us protect or keep safe, keep it nice, the environment. Using less energy will help us protect the environment. Okay, number 2, we need to, okay, this is going to be a verb. We need to, what do we do with our paper and glass? Hopefully you said recycle. Those are 2 things that we can recycle. This is a verb, okay? We need to recycle our paper and glass. Number 3, everyone should take something for saving the earth. Okay, this is not take like I will take something from you. This is a way that we can use the word responsible. We could have said everyone should be responsible. And here we say take responsibility. It's a way we can use the word responsibilities. Take responsibility. Everyone should take responsibility. New appliances are usually more, what did you put here? Hopefully you put this one, energy efficient. New appliances, so appliances like refrigerator, washing machine, stove, dishwasher. New appliances are usually more energy efficient than older ones. This is good because if you have to buy new, it costs you some more money to buy new, but maybe you will save the money too because they won't use as much electricity. Number 4, the Earth's temperature. So the whole Earth, the temperature is increasing. Why? Because of global warming. And the last one, try to something energy use. Turn off your appliances. Okay, try to, this one uses that phrasal verb that's 3 words actually, but 1 idea. So try to cut down on energy use. Turn off your appliances. So here maybe they are talking about your air conditioner or your heater. Maybe turn off or turn down. Maybe don't use it as often. Okay, this will help to preserve the earth and also save you money. So it's good for everybody. Okay, so hopefully that was a good practice for you. Now we're going to do some grammar. So now if you want to get out your white books, like this, and open it up to page 112. That would be good. And let me find the picture of that. Okay, so on page 112, we're on lesson B. This is where the grammar begins. And we're going to be doing some sentences that start with if. So these are sentences that give you a condition or something has to happen in order to have a certain result. Okay? Now, what's interesting about these sentences is you might see this word up here. You know that un means not. So, and you know present tense. Present tense means now. Present, unreal. So not real. So not really happening. All right, so these are also sentences. They're sentences that use if and sentences that use these words, would and could. You've learned these before, and you've probably heard them called modal verbs. So they're used with another verb. Okay, these sentences also are made with 2 clauses or 2 parts. Let's look at them together. It says, if everybody drove smaller cars, we would use less gasoline. Okay, so the first clause is if everybody drove smaller cars. All right, do you think that everybody, all the people, would drive smaller cars? It's probably not going to happen that everybody will drive smaller cars. Maybe we can encourage people to drive smaller cars, but some people need a bigger car. Some people just like a bigger car, but some people need a bigger car if they have a big family, right? Okay, so that's why this is not real, because everybody won't use a smaller car. Maybe in your country, many people use a smaller car. When I lived in Europe, there were more smaller cars than here in Dallas, but still not everybody. There were some bigger cars too. Now notice there are two parts. You see the comma. So this is the first part. On that sentence, it says, if everybody drove smaller cars. So they have the if. See, they have that in like a red color. And then there's the verb, and it's in past tense. It looks like past tense, right? If everybody drove. Now, after the comma starts the second clause, and here in bold letters in purple, would use. This verb, would and use, that's present tense. So this is what's different about this. The first clause is in past tense. The second clause has a modal verb, would, and a present tense verb. It's really the base tense of the verb, okay? With the word would. Okay, so if everybody drove smaller cars, comma, we would use less gasoline. Okay, so that's, they put up here 100% sure. It's 100% sure we would use less gas if everybody drove smaller cars. Will everybody drive smaller cars? Probably not. Okay, do you see on the bottom, they turn the sentence around. So we can turn it around. We can put the second clause first. We would use less gasoline if everybody drove smaller cars. Okay, you might notice there's not a comma, no comma. If the word if is in the middle of the sentence, you don't need to use the comma. Right? We would use less gasoline if everybody drove smaller cars. I want you to notice that the clause that has if always has that verb in past tense. And the other clause, the clause that uses the modal verb, also uses the present tense or the root form, the base form of the verb. Would use. So it doesn't say would used. Okay. Would use. All right. Now, these are the ones we use would if we are sure of this. We are sure that if everybody used a smaller car, drove a smaller car, we would use less gasoline. We being all the people, everyone. All right. Now, could is also a modal verb, but they're using the word could to mean probably. It's probably true, but we are less sure. We're not totally sure. So let's read this. If she wanted to use less gasoline, she could probably drive a smaller car. So the person who wrote this sentence is talking about another person because they use the word she. And they say, if she wanted to use less gas, She could probably drive a smaller car. They still, in that if clause, they still have past tense. If she wanted. If she wanted to use less gas. Now the second clause, instead of would, they just use could. It's still the modal verb. Could is also a modal verb. She could probably drive a smaller car. Okay, then they could switch it around. She could probably drive a smaller car if she wanted to use less gasoline. So the only difference between the woulds and the coulds is we use would if we know something. If we know, yes, they would save gas. Here, we don't know if she wants to drive a smaller car. So in your examples in the practice, maybe a hint to you would be words like probably, or words like I think. Okay, so that's a hint that you're not sure, you don't know for sure. Okay? All right, let's try a couple of these together, and then I'll let you try some of these on your own. Okay, the first one, they did it for us. And also, let's take a look at that picture. Usually those blue stickers, blue is kind of a color that means recycle. I know it can mean other things too, but there's got the big sticker, a picture of paper, and the word paper there. And then at the top, I don't know if you can tell that this is newspaper. So that's a place where you can put newspaper. You're done reading it, you can put it there. That's a place to recycle the newspapers. And that's actually what this first sentence is also about. So the first sentence they did for us, many people put their newspapers in the trash can. So that sentence is not one of these if sentences. They just give you some information. Okay, then it says, if everybody recycled newspapers, we would save millions of trees. Right? They use would because they are sure we would save millions of trees if everybody recycled newspapers. Okay, remember that from looking up here, in the clause that has if, that's the clause that will have the past tense. Here's the clause that has if. They used the past tense of that verb. And in the other clause, you use would or could with the base form of the verb, which means it's going to be the present tense. Okay. So let's try this with number 2. First, they just give us some background information. Noah never takes his car in for a tune-up. But tune-up is just when they check your car to make sure everything is going well with your car. And Noah never takes his car in for a tune-up. All right, so here we have to decide which one of these is going to be past tense, which one will be present tense. Okay, so one thing you can do is look for the word if. Where is the word if? Okay, here I find if is in the middle of the sentence. So that means that the clause with if is at the end of the sentence here. So the clause with if, this is the clause that will be in past tense. This is the verb that will be in past tense. That means the other one will be in present. Noah's car, well, it will be in present. Also, it will need to have either would or could. And they don't have anything that makes me think that it's not would. So if you don't see anything like I think, then I would use the word would. So Noah's car would use less gas if he, now this needs to be past tense, if he tuned. So the first word goes in past tense. If he tuned up his car regularly. So let's go through that again. Noah's car would use. So this one that's going to be in present always has the modal verb would plus the present tense. Noah's car would use less gas if he tuned up his car regularly. Okay. All right, let's look at number 3. Number 3, oh, it's the same as number 2. It has if in the middle. That means your would or could plus present tense verb is going to go first. Look, this one has I think. Now, if they say I think, that means they don't know. You say, I think. I think, Mr. Brown. So instead of would, I would say could. I think Mr. Brown could save money on gas if he, now this one needs to be what tense? Needs to be past tense. I think Mr. Brown could save money on gas if he carpooled to work. I think Mr. Brown could save money on gas if he carpooled to work. Okay, I'm going to leave these 3 for you to try to do. And you can send those sentences to me if you want, and I will check them for you. And there's also on the next page, this shows you how you can write some sentences with these. Remember we talked about these have an action and a result, right? So this is, again, the idea of saving energy, and it lets you write some of these sentences. And they give you a good beginning, and if you want to use a beginning like that, that's great. If you want to switch the sentence around, that's great too. Or if you want to do some one way and some the other, that's fine. So they are writing their sentence beginning with if. So they wrote it with this first one. These are all the actions, these are all the results. So they wrote, if everybody bought energy efficient appliances, and then they had to look down here and see what would be the result, what would happen. And they say, oh, we would save electricity. Okay, so if you begin with if, then it's going to be the past tense at the beginning. If everybody bought energy efficient appliances, so they just took it from here, they changed buy to bought. If everybody bought energy efficient appliances, comma, now they found save electricity, and they put we, because everybody goes with we would save, remember save is the present tense, we would save electricity. They could have written it the other way. They could have said, we would save electricity if everybody bought energy efficient appliances. Okay, let's do another one. Let's look at fix water leaks. So you know how sometimes in your bathroom, maybe the water is drip, 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 it's leaking, the faucet is leaking. And so you are wasting water, right? Okay, so if we fixed those water leaks, it would be better. So let's see. If it started out and we said if everybody fixed their water leaks, how would that help? Do you see one that works something about water? here. Okay? So if we use this same idea, if everybody, now the verb needs to be past tense, right? If everybody fixed their water leaks, comma, we would save water. If everybody fixed water leaks or fixed their water leaks, comma, we would save water. Okay, so you can try to make sentences with these, and we will check those together. Here they have another example. If everybody bought energy efficient appliances, we would save electricity. It's the same example as they did there. But all of these will match up with one here. There's always an action and a result. An action and a result. So hopefully doing a little bit of practice will help you. And I wanted to show you too, if you get your green workbook out, in the green workbook, there's some, usually I like the green workbook. Let me see what page number this is. Page 104 and 105. Okay, this starts a little bit simpler and it gives you lots of examples. So if you have your green workbook, if you want to get that, if you're confused on this a little bit, doing some of those in the green workbook and checking your work, I think that might be really helpful for you. You can see at the very beginning, it gives you a lot of those sentences and it just takes and it breaks it down into very simple parts to check. So for example, it shows you that these always in the if, it uses the past tense. So it says, if I had time, and then you have to circle what's right. And remember, it's always going to use would or could. So you know it's not going to be I will join, but I would join an environmental club. Okay? Remember, if always goes with past tense. So it's not if you use a fan, but if you used a fan instead of an air conditioner, comma, you would save electricity. Okay, so you can go through some of these and then check your work in the back. They have these kind where they give you the sentence, this is already correct, so you can see some correct sentences. If Leon drove more slowly, he would save a lot of gas. Okay, when we drive too fast, we are not being very efficient with our gas. So now what they want you to do is to say what is true. So think about that sentence. If Leon drove more slowly, he would save a lot of gas. So that tells me that Leon does not drive slowly. So it is probably true that Leon usually drives fast now, because they are saying if Leon drove more slowly. So that means right now he is not driving slowly. Okay, if we lived outside the city, we would enjoy cleaner air. Okay, so do we live outside the city? No, because remember these are unreal. So this says if we lived outside the city. That means we must live inside the city now, because they say if we lived outside the city, we would enjoy cleaner air. So there's some like that. Then on the next page, there's some where they want you to write the sentence. They give you the information, they give you the action and the result. So the action is I carpool to work, and the result is I save a lot of money every week. So you can start with the if like they did here. If, and then remember the if goes with past tense. If I carpooled to work, comma, I would save a lot of money every week. So each time you can do, you've got the action and the result. So if people, this has to be past tense because in the if phrase, if people replaced old appliances with new appliances, comma, they would use, remember it's got to be present tense, they would use less electricity. Okay, so maybe try writing some of those sentences. That would be good practice for you. I think both of those, and you can check in the back. If you're not sure, look in the back, practice writing some of those correctly, and see how that feels. They even have some at the bottom. These are written correctly, so you can read them written correctly. Then they just have you turn the sentence around and write it the other way. So those are all good ones to practice. Okay. I know each of you have different amounts of time. Some of you are very busy with kids. I understand that. So I'm just giving you some of this to do if you have time. No pressure, okay? I miss all of you and I hope you're well. We'll see you soon with another video. Bye.